So now we've got a quarterback room that involves Jack Miller, who started the bowl game. That involves Graham Mertz, the incoming transfer from Wisconsin, who's played a lot of football, started a lot of games, won a lot of games, hasn't been the best in regards to production. So, what is your thought about where it stands from a quarterback perspective and what Billy Napier's looking to do?
Yeah, Mark, I think you got to probably ride with Graham Mertz right now over Jack Miller as the Gators get ready to go. Probably head into spring practice, early March here, and I would think Graham Mertz is going to be the number one guy. Not ready to completely shut the door on Jack Miller because I think the staff liked him last year, then dealt with an injury that held him out for most of this past season, and then probably, look, I'm not that high on Jack Miller anyway, but I'm not going to hold that bowl game against him so much either. That was just, Florida, not a shell of itself from this past season. And look, everybody knows when they play Oregon State and how many players have already left Florida before that. And since then, that was not a full team out there. I'm not going to judge him too harshly on that. But as it looks right now, I think the experience of Graham Mertz probably wins out here for Florida when they get into spring practice. But the question for Graham Mertz, and we had a big episode on Gators Breakdown with him this week, and this is diving into the type of quarterback that maybe he can be at Florida. And look, at Wisconsin, it was take advantage of the weaker part of the schedule, but when the schedule ramped up, the competition ramped up, Graham Mertz just wasn't there to be found as a consistent quarterback. And, can Billy Napier unlock some more consistency? Can we go back to his recruiting profile and that be the type of quarterback Billy Napier gets with Graham Mertz? And it will be I don't think the Wisconsin offense did him any favors, Mark. If you go watch a Wisconsin game, you pull some numbers, it was pretty predictable run, pass. Run, pass. He was not in a lot of advantageous situations at Wisconsin when they were Paul Chryst, and they went through a coaching change. He had 3 different offensive coordinators the last 3 years. So there was a lot to point to that said maybe Wisconsin didn't put him in the best situation, but at the same time, was there trust in Graham Mertz? Was there trust for him to be able to throw on first down and maybe lighten the box a little bit? I mean, this was a team that you knew they were going to run on first down, and then it was going to be 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, and Graham Mertz has got to go throw his way out of that. So we'll see. We also kind of broke it down a bit that as much as Wisconsin ran the ball, they didn't run a lot of play action, and Graham Mertz in his time there did throw pretty well off of play action, but for whatever reason, they didn't run it a whole lot. So, I do think, what can Graham Mertz do different than Anthony Richardson did last year? Well, we know he's not going to bust a 60-yard run out of nowhere. So how does Billy Napier adjust to a quarterback that's more of a pocket passer than the Levi Lewis he had at Louisiana, than more the Anthony Richardson he had in his first year at Florida? So I think there's some adjustments going to be made by Billy Napier as well for a quarterback like Graham Mertz and how he fits and tailors the offense to him. But, is the quick, short game now more of an advantageous situation for Billy Napier in this passing game? Because that's where Anthony Richardson struggled last year. The short, quick pass game, the screens, the quick slants. He struggled in those situations last year. So, Graham Mertz probably is a little bit of a upgrade in that area. But Mark, and I said this on Gators Breakdown, when Anthony Richardson left and we knew Florida was probably going to hit the transfer portal, there were a few questions I asked myself about what type of quarterback they should get. Well, Florida's got a retooled offensive line. So the running game may not be as good as it was last year. Okay, can you go find a quarterback that's going to make up for that? I'm not so sure Graham Mertz is that guy. Florida, 3rd year in a row where they've had terrible defense. All right, can they go out there and get a quarterback that can make up for a really bad defense? I'm not so sure Graham Mertz is that guy either. So I think there's some questions I had overall about the team, and can they go get a quarterback that can make up for some deficiencies? I'm not so sure Graham Mertz is that guy.
Graham Mertz, a former 5-star, and the first time he stepped on the field against Illinois, he hit some ridiculous amount, 20 for 21, 5 touchdown passes, and people thought, oh, they're taking off from there, and it just hasn't happened for him. And, everything that David says, believe me, I watch a lot of Wisconsin football, and it sounds all stereotypical, but that is Wisconsin football. They live up to the stereotype. That's who they are. He's throwing 16 to 20 passes per game, and most of them are on 3rd and 8. Because they put him in that situation. On the other hand, that's the defense for Graham Mertz, not in opportunistic type situations that favor him. On the negative side, it's, well, he is supported by a great running game. The offense isn't on his shoulders, and he should be able to supplement that. And a lot of times against the better teams, as you mentioned, he wasn't able to do that. Should be interesting.